how that came
Yeah.
about.
Well, I was lucky to grow up wrestling in Iowa. I'd done some boxing, then had the experience of the kickboxing, the Muay Thai kickboxing, and I looked at the early UFCs, and I didn't get in until UFC 16, but everybody was. I mean, it was like a religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm never going to leave my religion. I'm a Catholic, a Buddhist, a Muslim, or this or that. They won't come up off their religion. They believe it. Everybody else is full of shit, and that's the way it is. Well, that's the way it was in mixed martial arts. Is everybody was like, well, I'm a karate man, and I'm going to stick with karate because that's the end all be all, or a wrestler, or whatever the art was, right? And I looked at all these guys, and I said, and many of them were, world champions in their specific martial arts. But, I was a good wrestler. I wasn't a great wrestler. I was a good wrestler. I wrestled to stay in shape for football, to be honest with you. But luckily, it was in Iowa. So if you're a decent wrestler, you can out wrestle most people, right? But I looked at everybody, and I just went, that's all ego, man. That's all ego. And I know I'm a good athlete, but I'm not such a good athlete that I can go out and win with just wrestling. Mm-hmm. Or I can go out and win with just kickboxing, right? It's just not going to happen. And so because of my past experiences in different martial arts and wrestling, I realized that I was already fairly well-rounded besides the submission part of it. And I just needed to master that, you know what I mean? And so I was doing videotape series, learning jiu-jitsu. We would do one move. We went through a video series of 13 instructional videos, excuse me, that had tons of moves on each one, right? Mm-hmm. And it was all fundamental basics, position, stuff like that. And we did one technique for 1 hour. And every morning we spent 4 hours in the gym practicing 4 techniques. And then the next day we would move on to the next techniques. Wow. And by the time we got done with that 13 video series, we had the fundamentals down pretty good, positioning and everything else. And then I got a call to go down and spend some time with a black belt from Brazil named Sergio Monteiro. Okay. And he was kind of the measuring stick. He told the guys that were running this pay-per-view back in the day, I can't remember the name of the organization now. It was a bunch of doctors and rich guys in Atlanta that funded it. But so they had me fly down and stay with Sergio in Tampa, Florida. And he and we rolled, and he did a ton of shit to me on the ground that I'd never seen before, but he didn't submit me. I was able to stay out of trouble. Okay. And not get submitted for it was 45 minutes we went straight. And we got done, and he goes, where did you learn your jiu-jitsu? And I said, videotapes. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, videotapes. And he goes, you have really good fundamentals, really good positioning, and stuff like that. He goes, man, you're going to be good. He goes, I want to teach you. Like, I want to show you everything. And back then, Brazilians were not teaching Americans like
anything,
real
right?
jiu-jitsu.
It was like a secret. That's what.
And they were teaching people to pass the guard by sticking one arm inside the guard and then triangling the shit out of them. That was even on the like Hoyce and Hickson and their older brothers instructional videos that they put out early. Oh yeah, they were teaching.
Take your arm here, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll go to sleep from a triangle, right? So he told me when he was teaching me knee on the belly and a bunch of other stuff, some nasty stuff for no-gi, for fighting. He goes, if a Brazilian person asks you where you learned this, do not tell them it was me.
You'd be shunned.
So I started learning underneath him. He was my first jiu-jitsu instructor, and I spent a lot of time with him, going back and forth. And so he taught me a lot. So that, I mean, he's tried to speed up the teaching to the point where I need the stuff that I absolutely needed for fights. I was going to get.
Okay.
So
okay. That's
how it all came together. Really, was just me going, I'm not dumb enough to think I can beat somebody with a couple of different martial arts. Even I need to learn the most important aspects of this from
Exactly.
each of these different arts, and then I'll be able to figure out a way to beat people.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Again, you had plenty of fighters coming out of your camp. I mean, like I said, Matt Hughes, Tim Sylvia. Do you still talk to those gentlemen still to this day?
Yeah. I still talk to those guys, and Jens Pulver and Tim live in town here, and yeah, I think we had a total of 95 athletes make it to televised careers. So, it was a good run, but I got so busy doing broadcasting for 3 networks, own a law enforcement training company,
Yep.
own a gym, training a team. I got to the point where I had to walk away from coaching, or I was never going to see my kids.
Yes, sir. I understand that completely. And again, you were a hell of a broadcaster as well. I mean, again, your last fight in a cage. I remember watching that fight, man. You knocked him out. What was his name? Thomas.
Oh, Thomas Denny.
Thomas Denny. Yeah, Thomas Denny. Yeah, man. So